At the end of episode 2, Henry Sinclair secured the title Earl of Orkney. Episode 3 begins after that turning point. Now the journal shifts from claim to rule. Henry is no longer fighting to obtain authority. He's trying to hold it. He must deal with bishops, rivals, royal obligations, hidden allies, and the practical burdens of governance. And beneath all of that, still waiting in the background, is the Western mission. This final stretch of Book 1 is not about sudden action. It's about years of pressure, preparation, and persistence. Only after all of that does the road west finally open. Episode 3 opens with Henry already in power, but the journal makes clear that power does not mean stability. He must deal with King Hakon's demands, Bishop Weymss' hostility, and the realities of governing Orkney year-round. He is required to reside there, solve disputes, build defenses, and begin shaping a fleet strong enough to protect the islands from pirates and outside threats. This is an important place to begin, because it shows that Henry's Western ambitions did not unfold in a vacuum. Before he can think seriously about another voyage, he has to secure his position at home. The journal begins appropriately, not with adventure, but with pressure. February 3rd, 1380. King Hakon has insisted that I do not enter into friendship with the Bishop of Kirkwall, William IV. He is a most contentious man and finds any excuse to argue and take offense. He has taken lands which are not his, and the people of Orkney fear his judgment. This past month he has excommunicated many in Orkney for non-compliance to his dictates, including several of my kinsmen. He thinks himself above the king. May 15th, 1380. We begin this day to build a fortified house in Kirkwall for myself and my family. We must be able to defend against William IV and his followers as they constantly argue against my decisions. King Hakon has forbidden this, but I am certain that I can convince him of the necessity. The people of Orkney take comfort in the fact that I will be able to defend them against the bishop and his men. We build on the edge of the bay, not far from the bishop's palace, to best monitor his comings and goings. September 9th, 1380. King Hakon has required a bond of me with the Bishop of Borgen to pay 20 earls. He also requires that I reside in Orkney for the majority of the year. I will use this time to learn about my people and to solve their grievances. I must also build a fleet to stave off the pirates and English invaders that plague our shores. Once Henry is established in Orkney, the journal broadens. It does not become less political, it becomes more layered. You see conflict with Bishop William, you see Henry trying to make Orkney governable. But at the same time, you also see the brethren gathering in discussion. Nicolo Zeno appears, John Wycliffe appears, and then, without any sense that this is unusual, the journal moves from public church controversy to private hidden networks. That is one of the strangest and most revealing qualities of Book 1. It does not separate intellectual life, spiritual life, political life, and secret life into different categories. For Henry, they are all part of the same world. And then, in 1383, the Templari come back into view again. Not as legend, not as memory, as living people. They are still there. They need provisions. They need protection. They are surviving in concealment. That is what keeps the Western story alive in this episode. The future settlement is not just an old promise, it is an active need. April 15th, 1381. Today, the brethren have met to discuss the ideas of Nicolo Orkney, the Dean of Rouen Cathedral. Brother Allington recently heard him speak in Paris and has agreed to tell us his thoughts. More than 40 brethren attended in the chapel. March 25th, 1382. Bishop William was slain this day in Kirkwall when he openly challenged my authority with the people of Orkney. He was burned to death in his church hall by the people. He will not be missed. September 7th, 1382. 60 of the brethren have gathered to hear John Wycliffe speak today on his views toward the Catholic Church at the Bishop's Cathedral. With no bishop presiding, there is none to stop him from purporting his views. I look forward to discussion with him after the meeting. September 9th, 1382. We received word today that Nicolo Orkney of Rouen, France, has died. While he is now gone, his words stay with us forever. February 2nd, 1383. I have met with the Templari near the cliffs of Weymss and have delivered provisions to them for the rest of the winter. They seem in good spirits and make good use of their time. April 18th, 1383. Today, a daughter Jean was born in Corstorphine while her mother was visiting. She is a weak and tiny child, but her mother insists she will survive. I pray for them both. They return home as soon as they are strong enough. June 12th, 1383. Robert Sinclair, my cousin and Dean of Moray, has been appointed as Bishop of Orkney. The people are most happy as I am. It will be good to know that we can argue in peace without wanting to kill each other. May 19th, 1384. Sir William Douglas has died, leaving a widow and 2 children. His widow is my niece Margaret, and she grieves for her husband. I have promised to watch over them and give her my advice when needed. June 22nd, 1384. I am back at Rosslyn and must preside over the Freeman's Court. I feel I have been negligent in my duties to Rosslyn and plan a feast to share my thoughts with the local lords. In the presence of Tom Erskine, George Abernathy, Walter Halliburton, and John Halliburton, I have given to Jacob Santo Claro dominion of Longford-Hughes and adjoining lands. September 29th, 1384. We celebrate Michaelmas this day at Rosslyn. My wife and family are excited to meet my niece Margaret and her family. We must discuss the education of her young children and the possibility of remarriage. April 18th, 1385. Walter Halliburton, John Halliburton, and Robert Stewart, and myself have met this day with the Templari. They have asked for additional foodstuffs and will trade with swords they have manufactured over the winter months. They continue in good spirits as 3 children have been born this past year, and 4 of their youth have taken the vows of the Templars. September 29th, 1385. We celebrated Michaelmas this day by sharing a feast with the people of Kirkwall. They seem appreciative of the gesture, and the remnants have been given to the bishop to share with the poor. As the years continue, what stands out is not one dramatic event. It's accumulation. Rent collection, island grievances, family births, poets and reports from London, sickness among the hidden Templari, council matters, permissions to marry, threats from rivals. All these layers really help you feel Henry's actual life. He is not switching cleanly between Templar mode and governing mode. He is doing it all at once. He is feeding hidden communities while settling murders, receiving literary news while managing political threats, welcoming children into his family while watching a larger, secret family struggle to survive. The result is that the Western mission no longer feels abstract. It feels like the long answer to a problem that keeps refusing to disappear. May 15th, 1386. The weather is fine, and once again I must collect rents amongst the people of Orkney. I look forward to visiting each of the islands and seeing the progress my people have made. November 2nd, 1386. Brother Mayor has returned from London and gives report that Geoffrey Chaucer has been made to retire from London. Brother Mayor brings with him the latest in his writings for the purview of my lady. February 15th, 1387. My brother and I have completed a visit to the Templari and have discovered they are in need of medical assistance. Many of them are ill with fever and spots. We have dispatched 3 women with herbal knowledge to assist them and have asked Lord of Weymss to send fresh foodstuffs and warm blankets. Winter has been harsh on them, although their numbers increase. We must repair to Kirkwall. May 25th, 1387. The herdmen have met this day and have brought the matters of the people to be attended to. They have done an excellent job in assisting and knowing what happens in the islands. Several men have been involved in a murder and must be dealt with, as well as permissions for several to marry. I am beginning to feel as if they trust my judgment and know that I have chosen well in my herdmen. September 9th, 1387. A daughter, Majorie, was born this morn. She is a screaming child and red of face. Her mother does fine, and Elizabeth helps care for her. November 8th, 1387. I have visited Edinburgh, where my cousin Malise Spar complains of harm to him and his tenants. I have agreed to pay him for his damages and have ordered my councilmen to restrain those who argue against him. He is a threat to my earldom, and I cannot abide his irritation. Winter approaches, and I must return to Orkney before the ice sets in. February 3rd, 1388. I have attended the council meeting in Norway and have acknowledged Margaret as the queen and her great-nephew Eric of Pomerania as the true heir to the throne. He is but 5 years old, but she will guide him with a firm hand. The queen is as beautiful as she was at her marriage and gives us her blessing in the governing of Orkney and Shetland. I must return to Orkney to collect rents and attend to my family. August 24th, 1388. The battle at Ottenburn has been won in the name of Scotland and honors the Earl of Douglas, who died before the battle was spent. My kinsman, Sir John Sinclair, bore the banner into battle, but I did not participate, still being in Kirkwall. September 29th, 1388. Michaelmas was celebrated this day, and we had as guests 30 of the Templari and their families who come from the eastern caves. They have brought 6 children to be baptized and blessed, and 4 of them were married this day at chapel by proper authority. By 1389, the journal hardens. The mood changes. Now Henry is dealing with hard financial obligations tied to Shetland. He is present for accession politics in Norway, and the rivalry with Malise Spar, which had lingered in the background, becomes lethal. Henry does not dramatize what he does. He simply records that he took his cousin captive, that he posed a threat, and that he and 7 others are now dead. That sentence changes the temperature of the story. Whatever doubts there may have been earlier, by this point, Henry is no longer just defending a claim. He is enforcing rule. And when the Western expedition finally comes, it will not be led by a dreamer untouched by consequence. It will be led by someone who has already shown he is willing to act with finality. July 3rd, 1389. At Helsingborg, Sweden, I am required to bond myself to Håkon Johnson, the royal bailiff of Norway, and to pay him 140 pounds of gold, beginning with 40 pounds St. Lawrence Day at the chapel of St. Magnus in Tingwall in Shetland in 1390, 40 pounds in 1391, 40 pounds in 1392, and 20 pounds in 1393. If we should fail to meet his terms, the rents we collect are forfeit. This will require that I gain and maintain control over Shetland now that I have prepared a fleet. September 18th, 1389. I have traveled to Oslo to be present with my cousin Sir Malise Spare at the accession of King Eric of Pomerania. He replaces Queen Margaret, who adopted him when he was a child. October 23rd, 1389. Before we could attend the Althing to be held at Scalloway in Shetland, I have been forced to take my cousin Malise Spare captive. He has attempted to take over Shetland in opposition to my reign and has threatened the people I am sworn to the king to protect. My cousin irritates me no more, as he and 7 others are now dead. Others have escaped, but I will deal with them when necessary. I return to Rosslyn to secure my cousin's holdings. November 2nd, 1389. A son William is born this morn in Rosslyn. He is a thick child and quite large. His mother is doing well, and the other children help to care for him. And then the journal turns, and it turns through shipwreck. In 1390, Henry learns that an Italian vessel has wrecked off Balta Island in Shetland. He goes to rescue the survivors, and from that rescue comes one of the most consequential relationships in the entire journal tradition, Nicolo Zeno of Venice. The importance of this cannot really be overstated. Until now, the Western cause has been Scottish, Norse, familial, and hidden. With Zeno, it becomes international and operational. Henry can speak to him in Latin. Zeno proves useful immediately. He fights beside Henry against remaining enemies. Then Henry asks him to stay, to train the fleet, and to help prepare for exploration. By August, Henry knights him and gives him command of the fleet. And then comes the line that transforms the whole episode. Zeno, his brother, and his son are said to be familiar with the vows of the brethren because their grandfather was also a Templar. In one move, the journal links the hidden remnant in Scotland to a Venetian navigator through a Templar inheritance. This is where preparation starts to become mobilization. April 19th, 1390. King Robert II of Scotland has died, and his son, John Stuart, is now King Robert III, but has no power to rule. He is a quiet and reflective man, and was hurt by a horse years ago. Until he is considered able to rule, his brother Robert will rule from Fileshire. May 15th, 1390. We have set out with a fleet of 10 ships for Shetland, where we will patrol the shores against pirates and interlopers. I will also collect rents when visiting the shores before we move on to the Faroe Islands. May 31st, 1390. We have word that an Italian ship has wrecked off the shores of Balta Island in the Shetlands, and have been put upon by the people from the mainland who hope to subdue them and loot their stores. The shores there are rocky and hazardous, and are the resting place of many wrecks. I will take 3 of my ships in the morrow and rescue them. Perhaps they will have news of Paris and Venice. June 1st, 1390. We have rescued the captain and crew of the Italian ship which has floundered and been broken apart by the waves upon the shore. The captain is Nicolo Zeno of Venice, of whom I've heard much about. We are able to converse in Latin, and I have befriended him and hope that he can teach us how to be more effective at sea battle. June 3rd, 1390. At my request, Captain Nicolo Zeno and his men have participated in a brief battle against the followers of Malise Sparrow who escaped my vengeance last year. They have now been subdued, and we should hear no further of them as they flee back to Norway whence they came. I learn more each day as I speak to Captain Zeno. I have asked him to stay for the summer and to help us prepare our fleet and my men for a voyage of discovery and exploration. He is most apt to do this, and he has visited Greenland before and wishes to return to complete his mapping of the northern shorelines. August 15th, 1390. This day I have knighted Captain Nicolo Zeno in recognition of his bravery and given him command of my fleet. He has shared information on weaponry and rigging that is greatly appreciated and knows more about navigation and sea battles than all of my captains. There is no ill will amongst them, as they are familiar with his reputation as a fair and experienced captain. He has written to his son in Venice asking him to join us, and a ship heading for Venice will deliver it this fall. There will be no answer till spring, as the ships only traverse during the spring and the fall. Until then, his men and he will stay the winter with us. To my surprise, I discover he and his brother and son are familiar with the vows of the brethren, as their grandfather was also a Templar. This pleases me as he understands my plan to visit the western lands. Once Zeno is in Henry's orbit, the pace changes again. Not because the expedition begins immediately, because now it becomes thinkable in concrete terms. A daughter is born, safe passage is granted, a charter is witnessed, fortifications continue. And then, almost quietly, the journal gives the line everything has been moving towards. The brethren meet to discuss a voyage of discovery to the western lands. All agree that it is time. That sentence is the hinge of the whole book. The childhood memory of the Owl of the White Stag and the unanswered fate of the 1358 men. the outlawed Templari in hiding, and the years of rule in Orkney, the money, the crown obligations, the rivalries, the fleet building, and the arrival of Zeno. All of it leads here. Not to departure, not quite yet, but to decision. And that is exactly where it should land first. February 4th, 1391. A daughter who we named Anne was born this morn at Kirkwall. She has long silver hair and waves her tiny arms as if welcoming the world. She will be a happy child. March 10th, 1391. We have been granted safe passage by King Richard II of England for 25 persons. April 23rd, 1391. I have given by charter to my brother David of St. Clair, son of Isabella, the lands of Newburgh and Ochdale in Aberdeenshire, to rule and protect. Witnessed by many of the brethren, we have met to discuss a voyage of discovery to the western lands. All agree that it is time. September 3rd, 1391. We have completed the fort in Bressay, and I have left Sir Nicolo with several small ships, men, and stores for the coming winter. They will complete the remaining work on the fort and the docks in preparation for spring fishing. What I like most about the close of Book 1 is that it refuses to rush the payoff. Even after the decision is made, the journal remains patient. There is parliament. There is punishment for violence against brethren. There is diplomacy with England. There is ship procurement. There are wrecks in the snow. There are more discussions. There's more waiting. This is exactly what real preparation feels like, not one dramatic montage. Years of logistics, setbacks, messaging, and timing. Captain Zeno is still at work. More ships are secured. Correspondence goes out to Venice. Antonio is requested, and plans continue. And then the human note returns again with great force. Henry loses a daughter the day she is born. His wife is weak. The household grieves. And still, the plans continue. Finally, in April 1395, Antonio arrives with 2 Venetian galleys and many men equipped with cannon weaponry and joined, the journal says, by men who also understand the craft and need to find a place where the Templars may settle and flourish. May 25th, 1392. I return home from Parliament, which was held in Perth. Those present at the killing of Sir Walter de Ogley have been condemned, and I have no reason to object. The senseless killing of our brethren is horrific, and the offenders should be caught and punished. They will have no quarter in the lands of Rosslyn, Orkney, Shetland, or the Faroes. September 27th, 1392. We returned from England, where we were granted safe conduct for 28 men. Captain Zeno has assisted in procuring 7 ships at Queen Margaret's request for the Orkney fleet. He has also sent missives to his brother, Carlos Zeno of Venice, and he has told him of the progress we have made in the Orkneys. March 22nd, 1393. 8 ships have sailed to the Faroes to subdue attacks of pirates from England and Norway. A little snow came upon us, and 4 ships were wrecked off the shores of Mykonos in the blinding storm. We have departed for Iceland to repair the ships before we return to Orkney. October 24th, 1393. I have attended Parliament in Perth, where the coin of the realm was discussed and agreed upon. Until it becomes a reality, we will continue to deal in gold and silver. March 8th, 1394. I have attended the Scottish Parliament in Scone. I spoke with Sir Robert Stewart about the proceedings, and we have agreed to meet with the brethren to discuss another visit to the Western lands. July 3rd, 1394. Captain Nicolo has written of his brother Carlos Zenos in Venice about a voyage of discovery he wishes to make. His ship being destroyed, he requests that Carlos send Antonio, the son of Nicolo, to Orkney with another ship. He should arrive in the spring. Captain Nicolo has now left for Greenland to explore the western coastline and will return in 2 months. August 31st, 1394. I have attended the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh. I have spoke once again with Sir Robert and the brethren. Plans continue for a journey to the western lands once Antonio has arrived in the spring. February 28th, 1395. A daughter who we named Cecilia was born this morn and died the same day. Her mother grieves at her loss. The babe will be buried in the bishop's churchyard in the morrow. My wife is weak, but is in the care of her ladies. April 15th, 1395. My wife has recovered, and Captain Zeno and I make plans to travel to Greenland to exchange bishops. My lady assures me she will be well with her ladies and the children to keep her busy. Captain Nicolo's son arrived 3 days ago and has brought with him 2 galleys from Venice and many men. The galleys are appointed with the newest in cannon weaponry, are in an amazement to behold. His father Nicolo is pleased to see him and has spent much time in his company discussing family and political matters. He too feels it imperative that the brethren move quickly. Both Captain Nicolo and his son are members of the craft and understand the necessity of finding a suitable place for the Templars to settle and flourish. Many of the men in Antonio's crew are also members of the craft and are descendants of Templars who flourished in France and Italy. They are skilled and good men, and I welcome their assistance. Book 1 does not end with fulfillment. It ends with readiness. Henry now has the title, the obligations, the fleet, the navigator, the allies, the motive, and the urgency. The hidden Templari are still alive. The western lands are still unfinished business. And now, after all these years, the expedition is no longer a distant intention. It is imminent. If this story intrigued you, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and come back for the next episode. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may the great goddess be with you.